This is Reimagining the Contact Center. I'm Mark Bernstein, and today I'm interviewing CTO and co-founder at Convoso, Bobby Hakimi. What really struck me about this interview is the great strategic decision that they made to implement AI in a really palatable area first. Appointment scheduling, reminders, confirmations, the sort of places where people don't push back on using AI, where it actually delivers a good experience to customers. With that as their foundation, where can Convoso go next? Well, we'll find out soon. I hope you enjoy today's interview with Bobby Hakimi. Bobby, I feel like I see you every 3 to 6 months now. Good to see you again, buddy.
You too. How you been?
Good, good, really good. So for those folks who aren't familiar with Convoso, could you tell everybody, what you guys do and some of the recent focus that you've had on building out your AI capabilities?
Right. So we're primarily focused right now in sales and marketing. We're a contact center platform, or some call it a dialer, which allows companies to get a hold of leads that they have for various reasons. We specialize right now in some industries like healthcare, home improvement, solar, and we focus on helping them reach out to a large amount of leads to convert them into sales and whatnot. And then recently we started, well, not recently, it's been several years that we focused on Voso.ai, which is essentially a AI agent that can speak to people using, all the new technologies like OpenAI and all the other LLM models, and using speech recognition. And that part of the system you can design to solve, problems like scheduling calls or rescheduling calls, allowing customers to do that off hours at any time that they like. For example, companies are usually 9 to 5, or they don't have 24-hour operations. This allows the customer to call in and do various things with this AI, and the AI can hook into the customer's CRM or whatever system they use to then accomplish what they're looking for. And one of those examples would be appointments setting or rescheduling that. And it uses voice and text, a combination of that, to either reach out and say, hey, when are you available? Or for the customer to call back in and say, I'm ready now, or I'd like to reschedule this. And that's all done with AI.
How did you take the leap and make the decision that you guys wanted to go from a contact center platform to this IVA intelligent voice assistant that was doing auto scheduling? How did you decide that would be like the place you wanted to play?
Well, initially, there wasn't as much regulations around it, using it for outbound. So it started off solving an outbound problem because, years ago, there would be people offshore pressing buttons on on a computer that says, hi, how are you? So that's how the call centers would get cheap labor to, do cold calling. So that eventually, with the technology as it came out, we were able to automate that. So we took those uh, sound files and automated them based on what the person responded with using speech recognition. So it was still very simple. It wasn't very intelligent. Dialog flow got to a point where they couldn't, improve it any longer. And that's where I think the next evolution of that came, which is LLMs. The idea was to offset the cost of the agents, but then regulations quickly came down to regulate against it. You would have to have certain consent, and getting that consent amongst all their leads was very hard. So then we decided to stop offering that in the outbound lead gen space. And we've always had interest to get into inbound. And I thought that was a nice way to start getting some inbound customers by providing that as an inbound product.
Super cool that kind of created this natural extension of, well, can you automate the back and forth? Can you make it more natural? Can you start by doing it logically, with almost like a decision tree dialogue flow type format, and
Right.
then now moving more toward, an organic LLM format. Where are you seeing today that, the automated voice assistant, and I actually love to hear what you guys call it, like what's the term you think the industry should use? Where are you seeing that working today, and where are you like, not quite ready yet?
Well, definitely not for outbound. Outbound sales and marketing, I don't see that happening anytime soon, maybe never. It's very heavily regulated. Again, some customers have consent so they can do that. I see that heavily used in support and then also outreach for companies that have existing customer relations that could tell them, hey, I'm just reminding you, you have an appointment in an hour. Let me know if you can make it or not. Like, for example, dentists, if you go to dentists, a lot of them now they say, okay, you got to pay like $60 ahead of time before you come, because if the person doesn't show up, the office loses, $400 an hour with the dentist just sitting there not doing anything. So companies like that, they can proactively reach out. Dentist office can reach out to their customers a week ahead, a day ahead, or maybe 20 minutes ahead of the appointment through phone calls and text messages and confirming that the person is coming. So the IVA or virtual assistant, virtual voice assistant, whatever you want to call it, has the ability of doing that and is intelligent enough to then make a decision and say, you know what, I've reached this person 3, 4 times. They have not responded once. I don't think they're going to make it.
Totally low hanging fruit, especially if your business has a very high volume of reminders you send. If it's maybe, I'm playing devil's advocate a minute. Let's say if it's one dentist office and you got one location, and when before a patient comes in, you have the person at the front desk call. I bet that ROI is like But if you like have a big volume of reminders you do, it seems like that's a super like that's a very reasonable and low hanging fruit ROI to just do those reminders automatically with a what I'll call natural language virtual assistant or something like that. You mentioned that support use cases, some of them, are working right now. How much complexity can these things handle?
Like I use ChatGPT now to program, every time, and I don't program much, but when I do, like I don't want to write code anymore. I literally tell it, this is the data set, this is the logic I want, XYZ, and it writes me code. And sometimes it forgets things because I tell it to, improve it in this area and that area, and it forgets some of the improvements I told them before. But I'm an engineer, I could see it and it does that work. So to me, being able to program by just telling it what to do is amazing, and that's to me complex because it can really do some very advanced algorithms. So I so far I haven't really seen much of a limit. I mean, if there is the limit is the data that you put in. If you put in bad data, you're going to get bad data out. Sometimes also you have to look at grouping the data in a certain way so it makes more sense. So it's tweaking the model. That's really where I think the limitation is, which is not really a limitation, it's just the amount of time and data you put in. But ultimately, I see it being able to solve many things.
How do you make sure that when the natural language virtual assistant is communicating with the person, that it's able to pull information from various systems appropriately to answer customers' questions? And the second would be actioning. Can you think of examples where it says, okay, I went ahead and submitted your order request? Like, is it able to actually go ahead and do actions too? And if not, like how do you see someone integrating that kind of virtual agent into their environment?
It can redact data, so it doesn't expose any information in case the customer says, oh, what's XYZ information, right? So you can limit what it gives you back based on you know X amount of points that are already in LMs that you can define, as well as like custom information that you want to redact. Now, in terms of functionality, so our also AI and a lot of other ones out there that have little modules, right? And one of them being an API connector. So that can talk to whatever APIs out there and get information based on information we collected, and then passing that to the APIs, parameters, and whatnot. And then once we get that data back, we can then format it and respond to the person, with whatever they're asking. So it's all things like that, actions like that have to be not programmed but configured. So what you'll probably do is in the beginning, you'll say, look, anything that actions wise, you prompt the LLM, if you can't do it, let the person know you can't. And then on our side, we can then collect all the areas that all the actions that the LLM was told to do that the customer wanted to, that it couldn't, run a report, and then start building out those configurations to address those actions. And so that's, getting the data back from weeks of conversations, or what a period of time, and then analyzing it to see, all right, what are the most actions requested that customers wanted that we couldn't do, that required us to escalate to a human, and then start configuring that in the Balto platform to accomplish moving forward.
Sometimes I'll hear people say, oh, prompt engineering, that's just a short-term thing. It's going to be gone. Like, don't even invest in it. Don't even think about it. The AI is going to be good enough that it's just going to, basically be able to configure its own prompts on its own. And then I hear like these very real examples from you. I'm like, man, I think prompt engineering has a good shelf life, because to get, these LLMs to do all the things we want them to do and connect with the systems we want to connect with, and capture and send the right types of information and be able to do so flexibly. Seems like you got to set up some like really thoughtful prompts, across, the different functions that the LLM can provide in order to get that right.
Let's think of these LLMs as a person, right? And this person is an adult, and this person knows everything in the world, has all information. And you're asking this person to do a specific job. Well, those are job descriptions, right? I want you to do X, Y, Z. These are my requirements. These are the things you need to follow. These are the processes you need to follow. These are the ways you need to handle them, X, Y, Z. All that, if you think about it, they're prompts. We're prompting people how to do their job. So AI will know everything there is to know, but you still have to tell it what you want it to do. So I mean, it's not magically going to know what you want to do. Like, let's just say you let the customer, you don't tell the employee how to, what the requirements are and some processes that need to follow. And let's just say one of the processes is, if a customer asks you for certain information to give to them, remove certain areas that are sensitive that shouldn't be publicly available, right? Because we don't want to email that to the customer like a social security. So make sure you always block that to social security from some PDF you want to send them or whatever, just making stuff up. You got to tell the person to do that. If you don't, they'll just send a document and they don't do what we need to do. And now we have a problem. The same thing with the AI. You have to tell the AI what to do. So prompt engineering will always exist in one shape or form. It's never going to go away. It may evolve to some other way. I don't know how that's going to be eventually, but the concept will still stay. Now with AI, it's actually getting very interesting, because sometimes it makes different decisions based on whatever point of information it has at that point. So LLMs could eventually be flawed in a way like humans, which is not really a flaw. It's just it decides to do something differently this time because of more information as available. Now, who defines if this more information is right in this case or that case? I can really see. I mean, if you think about it, we may end up having the same problem with the AI, which we did. You know how they said it was hallucinating, but maybe there's 4 ways to solve something, and all 4 ways technically are correct, but we prefer one way, right? So you still have to tell the AI, no, I want you to do it this way, even though all the other ways are correct as well. The ultimate outcome may be more confusing for the customer, so follow this way. And I see that being a problem with AI and humans, and it's never really going to go away, because there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. We prefer this way, do it that way.
Yeah. If you wanted perfect consistency, you would like write in the instructions to the T and say, do it exactly this way every single time, which would be like a dialogue flow, which breaks the whole purpose of needing an LLM. It seems like some sort of messiness is baked into it, feature, not a bug. It's like an important part of it is that it can react dynamically and isn't just following a rote instruction set every time.
Yeah, almost like a personality.
I'm curious, what's next on your guys' AI roadmap?
For a call center, they have to constantly configure things, enable this, disable that, load these leads, move this list around. I mean, there's so many things they do all day long. They have, 2, 3 admins doing this, and they're only doing it as best as they can. They don't really look at the reports all day long to compare these actions I've taken resulted in these reports, which resulted in more sales or less sales. They kind of guessing, and then there's multiple people doing it. Nobody really shares that information. It's a mess, but it works. It's just a lot of work, a lot of guessing. So I would like to take all the changes that they do in admin and all the outcomes of those changes, which is, sales conversions, contact rates and whatnot, and then have the AI find what's the most optimal setting to change the admin to at what time to give them the best results. So that's
That sort of thing I think has so much value because AI inherently is better at those types of tasks than people. I think back office automation is one of the um big opportunities that AI has in the contact center space because you shouldn't have people who are manually adjusting schedules, like, oh, hold on, this person's off here and this person's here, or manually adjusting queues. Oh, actually, I'm going to take this agent and put them in that queue because their conversion rates are good with this type of lead. Like that sort of stuff shouldn't just live in someone's head who's manually moving all this around. We can't absorb that much information that quickly. So we kind of
right,
just go with our like bias of like, oh, what's the last thing I thought of? Whereas AI can absorb it all and is doing it all the time. It can, refresh
right.
its information every few seconds. So I totally see that as an opportunity. Do you guys think that you'll do any of that kind of back office automation for QA or scoring or voice of the customer or any of that sort of stuff?
Scoring of the leads for sure. I like to see that. That can help them really get an understanding what converts and what doesn't. I would really like to see our customers get a better insight into their call center by having all aspects of it fed into the LLM, like the settings they change, the data they get.
So, do you see in the near term future having AI just do all of that, or do you see it being an opportunity for automation or both?
I mean, it'll definitely be different phases, right? First, you're gonna give them maybe lead scoring, then you're gonna help them uh, come up with, ways to understand why leads are converting based on conversations between the lead and the agent. Then you can, then there's another phase, and I'm not saying in any order, there's another phase analyzing all the changes they're making to the admin and understanding how are these changes affecting their outcomes. That's another area. And so there's many different areas, and you start tackling one at a time, and eventually you've kind of covered all major areas: admin, agent, data, right? Data being either leads you buy, the reporting of the agent's activities or calls that are happening, etc. And you take these three and you combine them into like this super AI model that can have the three aspects and understand much better now, what, this is affecting this, versus before it would know individually in all of these, and it doesn't understand there's outside functions that are affecting their area of performance, right? Like if I get bad data, it doesn't matter how good the sales agent is, they're not going to be able to close anyone. You're going to get a bunch of people on the phone possibly, but they can't close any leads. And then, obviously, yeah, the call center admin knows it's the data. I have to look into it, listen to calls and see what's going on. But say we don't know anything about the data, we're looking at the agent's performance and we're like, well, our guess is, I don't know, this guy's staying on a phone longer than that guy, and that's the reason why he's converting better. But really the major area that's affecting them is the data. So having something around each section that understands specifically how that's performing, and then having something that umbrellas all of them to get a bigger view, I think that would be probably a good idea to start.
Could you help me picture, what that would look like for the customer?
There'll definitely be reports and different ways to break down the data, because you always have to like have some kind of an Excel type look, right? You have it broken down by vertically and horizontally, however you want to see the data, so you can get a better picture. But those are kind of older reporting, which are still good and needed. What I like to see is I actually want to talk to the AI and ask it whatever the hell I want. Why is XYZ happening? And then it explains it to me, and then I say, okay, give me some sample data so I can see what that is. And it shows, okay, here's all the sample leads. these are the reasons why it's failing. I've seen that majority of the things that are failing are because of this data vendor that is selling us leads in this state that I see it not converting. But that data lender is good in all these other states. So it's not them as a whole, but it's a specific state that's not converting for you because that state is interested in this type of product, whatever, just making stuff up. So like I think I would like to really talk to the AI and ask it, why do I have these issues?
And do you think that'll replace like quote standard reporting where people log in and they have all their reports set up and they click through and tab through them, or they scroll onto one big dashboard where they've kind of like pieced together all these different reports? Do you think that we're going to see that getting phased out for a more like interactive approach with AI, or will it be some combination?
No, I don't see that going away. That will be still used as a dashboard to get a quick glance at what's happening. What I'm talking about is more of research, right? Trying to dig into why certain things are happening. And then from that information, you probably create a dashboard that, if this goes down to 4, or if it goes to a certain number, we have a problem and I know why. So the dashboards are there. If you think about it, dashboards are formulas put together that quickly allow you to see if an area is going wrong. The AI will help you figure out what it is that you need to be looking at in order to make sure the call center is performing.
We actually want to do more research in business context and decision making. Like I think our brains go to, oh, I have a question, or oh, I have a thought, or I wonder if this is happening. And then what we do today, because we have no choice, is we go to the reports. We're like, well, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. And you don't actually like really get further through your research question often, but we have no other tools to often go to the reports. I think
Correct.
it's really interesting that like maybe we can start to get good at this as users of AI, and we can start to just have this mental heuristic that says, if I want my standard business pulse and I want to see my warning lights, I go to the reports. If I have a question or something I want to test or understand or explore, I go to AI.
Exactly. I definitely see that happening. I mean, it makes sense.
Where do you see AI going in the next 3 years?
I've said this to a lot of people and they think I'm crazy. I it will help. It will definitely help us do our jobs way faster, and more effectively. But the pace that it's going, I uh I don't know, I see it unfortunately replacing a lot of jobs. Um, I don't I don't see it replacing engineers anytime soon because they still need to like figure out how to put it together. But even engineers might be replaced. I might not code in 5 to 10 years. I might just tell the thing, make this program for me. I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that. And I'll just tell it what I wanted to do and how I wanted to function, where I wanted to get the data from, and it does it. So that's probably what's gonna happen. But somebody still needs to have that creative mind on how to build an application. So I think what will probably happen is product people will really kill it. Engineers are gonna die off because there's no need, because the product people, they don't tell the engineers how they want it to work and how, like what they wanted to do, and then engineers build it. So I think the building part will go away. Um, and there's so many things that are going to start getting automated. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we have this we what is that? This car that drives around in LA. Something
Waymo,
Waymo, is that what it is?
maybe.
Yeah, Waymo. That's crazy. I see these cars everywhere and they're empty, you know? And it's just only the beginning. I mean, they've probably been, doing this before GPD, but that's just like a super basic example. We'll soon be talking to our phones and telling it to do things. Order me this, do this on Postmates, make this reservation, do that reservation, find me the best flights, make sure it connects from here to there. I don't want to have a layovers, blah, blah, blah. All that where you need to talk to a travel agent, you don't need that. You don't need that anymore, right? You talk to the AI. So I think many, many jobs are going to get replaced. Short term, we're probably going to have a problem. People won't be able to find as many jobs, but I think long term, it's going to allow us to evolve as a species where we will take our creativity and do things that are going to help us as a human race to evolve and be better. Like hopefully solve some energy crisis that we have and climate changes or whatever it may be. and I think we can focus on more important things than just pick up the phone and tell somebody why they're having this on their bill, or to turn on their service or whatever it may be. You know, those things, we're too intelligent and too creative to spend our time doing that or flipping burgers.
Bobby, thank you so much for joining me today. This was super fun. I love how you think. I love what Convoso is building. So really grateful you took the time with me.
Yeah, appreciate it. Always look forward to having this with you.